A 2019 survey estimates that there are 2.2 million Filipinos working abroad, a considerable number of which will be losing their jobs. The Philippine government was faced with the task of repatriating these Filipinos. To help us understand the system implemented by the government to address this problem, we have with us Capt Maricor R Soliva of the Philippine Coast Guard. She is the Deputy Commander of the Philippine Coast Guard Civil Relations Service and is involved with the returning overseas Filipinos. She holds a Master's of Science in Maritime Affairs from the World Maritime University in Malmö, Sweden, as a scholar of the International Maritime Organization. Welcome, Captain Soliva.
Thank you very much, Captain De La Peña, for inviting me. I'm truly delighted to be here in OB Montessori to share with your students my experiences on the response of Coast Guard on the fight against COVID-19.
When did we start accepting Filipinos?
As early as February 2020, the Philippine government has already taken measure to evacuate its citizens. This includes the repatriation of our overseas Filipinos. Repatriation means bringing home our workers from various countries who are arriving from our land-based and sea-based facilities. We also have the transport of our locally stranded individuals, or the LSI. Our very first batch of repatriates came from the China Hubei province. This was on February 9, 2020. They were accommodated in a village near Tarlac and has undergone the required 14-day quarantine. In the same month, 2 batches of more than 800 repatriated cruise ship personnel followed. This is the Diamond Princess cruise ship, which is docked in Japan and arrived on February 25, 2020, carrying 445 Filipino crew members. We also have the MV Grand Princess, which arrived some 16 March 2020 with 444 Filipinos and 6 passengers. Having said that, let me give your students a brief background on what really transpired during those times so that they would understand how the Philippine Coast Guard embarked on this new role aside from our usual role of saving lives at seas. Due to the massive influx of returning OFWs, the need that needs to be tested and quarantined, the IATF has created the sub-trust group for repatriation of OFW. This was then headed by the Philippine Coast Guard Commandant, Admiral Joel Garcia then. Immediately promulgated biosafety protocols and workload algorithm for the strict observance of all our personnel. We have established a working routine and work schedule for our personnel in the headquarters. To organize in this new task, the Coast Guard has immediately recruited 168 registered medical technologies. This is batch by batch. So for our first batch, we have 53, and the second batch, we have 95, and then we have 20 for the third batch. So the PCG ensures that all personnel are protected in this mission. Thus, we created the Coast Guard Task Group Resource Management and Logistics. This is to provide resources, equipment, and administrative logistical requirements in support of the operation. The PCG immediately requested the Department of Health for the training of our 12 medical technologists and plus 4 other line officers. This includes me, who are graduates of BS Medical Technology. We were immediately deployed as part of the task group Bayanihan OFW. On 23 April 2020, we started the operation of the one-stop shop in all our airport terminals. We also opened the Palacio de Manila tent, which has 65 testing booths and manned by trained swabbers, 20 encoders, 10 runners who operate 24/7 with 3 ships under the management of the Coast Guard. We also have the 3 other mega swabbing centers which is managed by the Coast Guard. This is the Mall of Asia Arena and the Philippine Arena. So for the 5th step, which is the evaluation, the task group conducts a regular meeting. This is to evaluate response from help desk, feedback forms, and social media, which are then documented as lessons learned. The analysis produced during the evaluation process is very critical for a task unit command's decision-making. This is to refine their plans, enhance the training, and determine the appropriate equipment needed, and also to employ technology.
So how many steps does a kababayan have to undergo before he can be allowed to go home?
Okay, sir. The Department of Foreign Affairs has disseminated to our returning Filipinos an 8-step guide. Yes. So for the step 1, they need to register via online and fill up this ECIF, which stands for the Electronic Case Investigation Form. Upon completion of this, they will receive a confirmation email and a QR code. This is for the step 2. And then, upon arrival in the Philippines, they will undergo a briefing for the step 3. This will be conducted by the Coast Guard as well. And after the briefing, they will undergo the verification and barcoding, step 4, wherein they will submit the QR code for verification and secure these barcodes, which will be used as to label their specimens. After that, they can undergo the test, swab test for step 5. And then all passenger will undergo the usual immigration process for step 6. And then after that, for the step 7, those who do not know their quarantine facilities can verify it through, for the OFW, they can go to the OWA desk. For the non-OFW, to the Department of Tourism desk. And for our seafarers, they can go to their local manning agencies desk. And then they will be escorted to their assigned quarantine facilities, which wherein they will wait for the result, which is the step 8.
So upon arrival at the ports, what did they have to accomplish at the point of entry?
So as I said earlier, they need to accomplish the electronic case investigation form and undergo the mandatory RT-PCR swab test and, of course, the quarantine while waiting for the result of the test.
So all incoming Filipinos had to be tested. What was the average number of tests you had to do on a daily basis?
For the month of September, the average number of ROF tested is 1,500 daily.
And after so many number of months, how many was the total number you've done so far?
Okay, the total swab as of 22 September is already 262,000 returning OFWs.
All right. Were these tests charged to the passengers or care of the Philippine government?
The OWA and the PhilHealth shoulders the cost of the RT-PCR test. This is for the OFW. But for other returning Filipinos, they actually need to shoulder it.
And then how many days did they have to wait?
The aim is to get the result within 72 hours.
All right. And during the initial stages, we heard of reports that it took weeks for the results to come out. How were you able to manage this particular gap?
Okay, I would like to point out that the Coast Guard only assists in the collection of specimens. But per your query on the reported delays, we can attribute this to the massive influx of specimens during that time.
So they weren't allowed to go home just yet. They had to wait for the results before they could be let out of quarantine.
Yes.
So what facilities were used to house them?
So right now we have 121 different hotels in Metro Manila. These are all accredited by the Department of Tourism and Department of Health, which is used as quarantine facilities where the OFWs are temporarily housed while waiting for their swab test result. In addition, The Coast Guard also was able to convert the Eva Macapagal Terminal and 2 floating facilities into a COVID-19 quarantine facilities. This could accommodate approximately 1,000 overseas Filipino workers.
Were there food provisions in these facilities, ma'am?
Of course, the Community Relations Service of the Coast Guard is in the forefront of providing repatriated OFW not just the meals, but also we distribute hygiene kits as soon as they arrive in the PCG-controlled facilities. This has been made possible through the donations coming from our generous organization like the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary, other NGO, and of course, the OB Montessori, who has been supporting the Coast Guard from day one until now.
So, when the results were out and they had the go signal to go home, were they still under your care or were they allowed to go home on their own?
The ROFs who are negative are assisted for departure to their final destination. The PCG joins the Department of Transportation and OWA in safely transporting our OFW. We have made available our PCG buses as well as selected PCG vessels for the transport of OFW.
Ma'am, you're in the front lines waging this war against COVID-19. What would be the more important lessons that our students can take from this experience?
Let me conclude on the lessons learned. The repatriation of OFW under this pandemic emphasizes the fact that support to OFW is not only the responsibility of our migration agencies, but also the needs, the support from various government agencies like the Coast Guard, PNP, AFP, the private sector, civil society organizations, academia, and the migrant themselves. So the collective efforts of everyone is important for us to really heal as one. For the students, keep in mind that many negative consequences of disasters can be diminished if a robust resilience networks and disaster management tools are in place well ahead of time.
Captain Soliva, ma'am, thank you for the lessons that you have imparted to our students. We are honored to have with us one of the living heroes of our Philippine society, representing the rest of the Philippine Coast Guard and our living heroes. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
It's my honor, sir, to represent the Coast Guard.